What's going on, obscure tech folks? I can't say people because that's what I do on obscure mics. Obscure mic people, obscure tech folks. Okay, so I've got a little something here from Hewlett-Packard. And before I go into detail about what you already know because of the title and the thumbnail and all that good stuff, one of my favorite things to do with tech is to find certain older, cheaper machines that will run my favorite software or do my favorite things well on a budget. And when I say my favorite software and my favorite things, most of that is audio, but of course I do like to do some light video editing as well. Editing these videos could be considered light because I don't really throw a lot of fanciness into them. They are basically talking head videos, sometimes with a couple tracks, maybe 3, 4 at the most, and just not a lot going on. Most of it is this, unfortunately. This. But one of the more impressive devices I've found from Hewlett-Packard is this gem that I found on Goodwill and Goodwill Online. And it is the HP Elite X2 1011 G1. Now, what this is, right now you're seeing the travel keyboard on it, complete with Shure logo, because I am obsessed with my audio gear. But essentially, this is a Windows touchscreen tablet. Not anything new, not anything fancy. Judging by the logo on the back, the Windows logo, I believe it to also be Windows 8 era, a Windows 8 era touchscreen tablet. Now, it is extremely light, but it does not feel cheap. And some of the cool things about this is, one, it comes with a stylus in the bottom. Yeah. With a little clicky clacky button on it. So it doesn't feel super outdated. Right in the bottom there it goes. And you've got a little SIM tray here as well to put an SD card and SIM card. So you've got mobile wireless data in this old machine. Again, touchscreen, speakers at the bottom, little window key to go back and forth, an Intel Core M inside. We'll go through the specs here shortly, but you get, there's a couple different options here. We've got this travel keyboard that you literally dock the tablet into, like so, and you can fold it up and wrap it up, and it's got some magnetic flippy flappies on it. So you got this little travel setup here, a little USB on the side, power port, headphone jack on the other side. And then when you do use it in that mode, you just fold up the back, kind of like a tablet case sort of. So you got this little triangle setup here, and then it sits and rests like that. Keyboard, pretty nice. Got a touchpad, trackpad, clicky clacky. Got all the keys and stuff that you would need. Now, I will say, I don't love this keyboard. I just don't. It's fine. I mean, it's good in a pinch, but the screen rests far too far back on it. I'll go ahead and show you how that works. I've got this all fingerprinted up now, so, you know, don't mind all that. So yeah, there's the whole thing laid out. And just so you can get an idea of how far back it sits, like it just sits really far back. I'll turn it on its side here. That's about how far back it sits. It's at an extreme angle there, but you know, it does work really well. But another option you've got with this setup is to undock this, be done with the travel setup. Some people may love the travel setup. Me, just not really for me. But with this sweet older machine, you also get a more physical, hard keyboard. That, just like any convertible from yesteryear, I'm thinking about you, Asus. I like Asus. This, you know, another dockable keyboard here, clicks right in, and then you've got an actual full laptop style system going on now. And then you've got a display port and a USB when your charging port on one side. And you've got another USB and an SD card slot and a headphone jack and some other kind of media slot, SC. I read up on it, but it's basically irrelevant, I think. So we won't go too into detail about that. But listen, what else I wanted to talk about with this thing, this harder keyboard here, this can be a second battery. The first one, the travel keyboard, not a second battery. This, you can charge this and the screen and get insanely good battery life out of this setup. Next talking point about this and other older machines, as I clean this screen off for the purposes of showing you. When I first started messing around with older Windows machines, I was a big Linux guy for a long time. If a machine was older and didn't run that great, you just stuck, you know, Linux Mint on it or Ubuntu or whatever variant suits your needs. And that usually brings an older computer to life and at least makes it a great basic task machine and sometimes more. But with Windows, and I will admit, I do like Windows most of all because it's what I'm used to. It's what I grew up on. It's what I've always dabbled with when it comes to like fixing computers, building computers, all that kind of stuff, which I am no expert at, but I do have a basic knowledge enough to where people bring me their stuff to fix because their hard drives are bad and I replace those or upgrade their RAM. Very basic stuff. I'm not any more techie with computers than that. I'm not a gamer, so I don't know the specs and the G-forces and all that stuff. It's just not a thing I enjoy, but I do like making older machines feel like they're newer machines. Windows 11, when that came out, I attempted to install that on a bunch of older machines, and at first with very little luck, because at first you couldn't really get the drivers unless you went and manually fetched them and installed them, and sometimes they'd work and sometimes they wouldn't, so on and so forth. Some machines just hated to take Windows 11. It was kind of a pain for a while, but what I've noticed since randomly forgetting about those issues with Windows 11, I had an older desktop and I just stuck my USB Windows 11 drive in, completely forgetting about all the problems I had had with many machines I had tested before it. And all of a sudden, Windows 11 was doing updates and installing drivers and doing things on this older machine that it wasn't doing before. Now, you may say, hey, they've been doing that for a while. They changed this. Didn't you read this on The Verge, or didn't you know, blah, 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 blah. No, I didn't, because I don't really constantly read up on whether Windows 11 is going to start working on older machines better or not. I typically just was throwing Windows 10 or Linux on it or so on and so forth. But after discovering that Windows 11 seems to play a lot nicer with older machines lately, I went ahead and tried my hand at putting Windows 11 on this tablet. So we got our power slider here. You just slide down to turn the power on. HP logo boots up. Windows 11 logo booting up. Camera reflecting in the shot. Home screen boots up. Slide up. And it booted that quick, which is pretty fast. And well, now we've got Windows 11 fully functional, pretty smooth. Let's go ahead and get this hooked up to the feed here so we've got a clear shot. And I'll just run you through some of the specs and just how snappy it actually is. This is the, got it docked into the hard keyboard here. We can take a look at the system specs. Again, running Windows 11. Not extremely fast, but pretty snappy, honestly. We got Windows 11 Pro. We've got the X2 1011 G1 tablet, Intel Core M5Y10C, 2-core processor, nothing fancy whatsoever, only 4 gigs of RAM, but as you can see, like, we're not really having a lot of trouble in operating this machine. You can boot up Windows Edge. Again, for an older machine, boots up pretty quick. Oh, yes, the news. Good times. Let's go to YouTube. Now, I am running off Wi-Fi, and my kids are watching stuff. Everyone's watching stuff. So, not the fastest internet connection right now, but everything's running pretty good. You can check out this new video from Rode real quick. Hi, Ryan. How you doing? Full screen works well as well. Exit out of there. If you're a video editing type like I am, you can boot up Audacity. Loads up fairly quickly. Operates pretty well. Levelator is one of the programs I like to use to get everything nice and crisp between a couple different audio channels. It'll process an audio track fairly decent. Don't have anything super big, but we can drag in that. Just about a 30-second clip there. Went ahead and processed that. X that out. Google Chrome test, we'll open that. Fairly quick. Some video streaming, we'll go to EVMux. Do us a little live stream here, Real and Raw Sports, some people that use the studio. Open your file browser. Working on it. Not for too long. We got our disk here. Just a small 118 gigs of space on this, but again, it's a tablet. Go to our videos, music. Got Google Drive nice and loaded up. Brought that up fairly quickly. So really, I mean, fairly snappy response for Windows 11 on a machine with 4 gigs of RAM and a processor I frankly had never even heard of. There we go. I mean, honestly, I think for what it is, and I got this for under $100 with both keyboards. You want something that's good on the go, and you're not looking for a lot of computing power. I mean, this is a nice little tablet. One of the things I found hardest of all to find a decent machine. And I've got to say, one of the hardest things to find, in my opinion, is a decent Windows touchscreen tablet laptop for cheap. Like even Microsoft Surfaces that are not much more powerful from the past, fairly expensive. But if you're looking for something for basic tasks, audio editing in particular, audio editing on this thing, I think works really, really well and just really comes in a nice form factor, nice size. Not the most comfortable to hold and type with, but you can do the split keyboard, and you can, of course, go into the, taller 9:16 style mode and use it in tablet mode like that as well. and I can still one-hand it. And like I said, you add a SIM card to this and you're kind of in business. And again, not heavy at all. Pretty robust. I did have to replace the battery in this machine when I got it, but you peel off the bottom strip here and there's some screws. This is like the speaker grill and it is just glued in. Luckily it went right back on. Thank goodness. But I got a battery for like 15 bucks for this, put it in, good as new. The battery just wouldn't charge when I got it. Cause again, it's an older device, but this is one of the easiest batteries I've ever changed. Handful of screws, a little push pin, pulled that out, put the battery back in, few screws, push pin, good to go. And it's worked really, really well for me ever since. So if this is something you're looking for, not to mention, it's got a fingerprint scanner. So you got biometrics in there too. Now I was wrong about the SD card reader. This is actually a different kind of serial port here. Cinnamon Toast Crunch, I believe. But yeah, the SD card I forgot was in the back with the push pin, micro SD, along with your SIM card. But this is a really portable, nice solution. If you're looking for something older that will run Windows 11 fairly decently, again, no gaming, probably not much video editing. I did edit a video on this. It did take a long time to process, but it did work and it did not ruin my video. It didn't mess anything up. And that was using Filmora Wondershare. So yeah, you got a 5 megapixel camera on the back, nothing special. You got a camera on the front as well. I'll kind of demo that real quick. Could be worse. Not that bad, honestly. And that is the front facing camera. Here is the rear facing camera. Maybe a little better than the front facing camera. Again, nothing special. You're not going to want to film videos or anything like that. But if you want to do some overhead shots of your keyboard or something simple like that, it'll be okay. All in all, this is a machine that I actually really enjoy for on the go. Throw it in a backpack. One of the biggest drawbacks about it is that you can't charge it without a keyboard. I think that's a little bit of a fail, but it does last quite a bit on a full charge, especially if you put a new battery in it like I did. I've easily gotten like 3.5, 4 hours of light tasks running through this thing. So a little bit of a downside, but for under $100 when you find them on the used market, I've seen them really cheap on eBay just without the keyboard. So you're going to want to get a keyboard. Sometimes it doesn't come with the power pack, but man, little Windows 11 machine, super portable, super cheap, great for audio editing. I'm a fan of it. That's why it's on the channel. Obscure Tech. I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully you enjoyed this one, and I'm sure there will be more of these type of tutorials. Not really tutorials, but like, hey, you like Windows 11? I do. I know a lot of people don't, but I enjoy it. Or light tasks. Works pretty well. See you guys next time. Peace out.